morning, everybody. I welcome you all this morning. Officers from DOT headquarters, LSA, TEC, industry, academia, student and participants and other participants. The speaker in the session, fellow officers from NTI PRID, a very warm good morning to all of you. In the field of telecommunication, the day we join, we are hovering around number of schemes, the accessibility to the subscribers in the PSTN era, then the PMLN era. Now we are in the different digital era. And that's why NTI in analogous to the spectrum, thought to have a good awareness through this webinar. Dear participants, we are very lucky to be present in this era of digital transformation of India. We are increasingly becoming a digital economy. Proliferation of ICT services have touched all aspects and dimensions of human life, may it be health, education, transport, defense, or any other field. Further, NDCP, National Digital Communication Policy 2018, talks of, as you know, 3 fundamental directions to transform India into digital society. That is, Connect India, Propel India, and Secure India. To march in this direction, we need to create massive ICT infrastructure across the length and breadth of India. Taking into account the landscape diversity of India, we have to have a hybrid mix of technology in every domain. These technology also have to be compatible with each other. As you know, another major development has taken place in the field of artificial intelligence, machine-to-machine communication, and big data, where in coming time, millions of devices are expected to be communicating with each other. Few have already started, as we are seeing 5G use cases in many technical forums. All these things I have talked about will require a mechanism to uniquely identify each and every devices at customer premises. I mean, the numbering resources which we are doing classically will require much more attention and much more work to be done, wherein each and every devices at customer premises, each and every network element, and each and every technology are to be communicated. In the case of PSTN, we were simply doing the SPC codes to connect between the switches. But those switches have those codes, those numbering series will now be translated towards the many tiny devices in the network. So here comes the necessity of numbers in ICT sector. So they are equivalent to intangible assets like spectrum in our case. Although these ICT resources are available to service providers, we need to utilize them effectively and efficiently, being a limited resource. TRAI has also given recommendation on optimum utilization of this limited valuable resource. These recommendations are under consideration in DOT headquarters. The authority is assigned the task of managing and assigning addresses and numbers as a scarce resource, so as to ensure a rational, equal, and efficient uses thereof. Authority to adopt the numbering plan stipulating the allocation of addresses and numbers. The numbering plan also ensures unbiased availability of resources to all operators and services. Conditions for introduction of new electronic communication services and fulfillment of obligation arising from relevant international agreements. It's not only the national planning. It has got to match with the international agreement. So the numbering plan is aligned with the international regulations and practices. That's why we thought to assemble and make us aware about it. Normally, it is ITUT recommendations, in particular with E.164 and E.212 recommendations. By allocating number in resources doesn't end our tasks here. At the same time, it is required to keep updated database on numbering resource uses, which includes the information on the type of numbers, number ranges, operator assigned with the numbers, and monitoring of these uses, that is start and end date of uses of numbering resources and much more. Otherwise, it will go waste. So for that purpose, we approached headquarter being authority in the matter. And our speaker in today's webinar, Sri Tejpal Singh, is Director AS3 in DOT headquarter. He is well versed and experienced in the matter. So NTI-PRIT is providing a platform between the participants and DOT to have awareness on this subject. I hope his talk will be able to sensitize the audience of the importance of management of numbering scheme. I also thank Balaji and Subhas, who have taken a lot of work in discussing about the matter and finalizing the topics related to these numbering resources. With this, I declare the webinar open and wish for its success. Thank you. Over to Subhas.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your warm address, and your address, sir, has set the tone of this webinar. Now, what we are going to learn, sir had already told the importance of numbers. So, and authority in this on these numbers is with us, Sri Tejpal Singh, sir. So let me introduce the speaker. Sir, who is calling? Sri Tejpal Singh, sir, is an ITS officer of 1995 batch and currently holding the charge of Director AS3 in Department of Telecommunications. Previously, sir has worked as Director in DOT headquarters and TEC. He has also worked as Director PMU under Ministry of Home Affairs for NetGrid project and UIDAI as ADG Technology. He has been involved in planning, development, and rollout of pan-India NMS solutions for BharatNet projects as GM NMS from 2013 to 2017. He holds a Bachelor of Engineering degree in Electronics and Communication from NIT Allahabad and PG DIT from Symbiosis Pune. So over to you, sir, and I also welcome you in this webinar. So over to you, sir. Please proceed, sir.
Thank you, Suhasji. I thank DG sir for giving me opportunity and on this platform to share the process of numbering resource management and setting the framework and guidance for the webinar. So I will start the presentation if with your permission.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Now it is. Sir, please make it full screen.
Is it
Yes,
fine?
sir. Now, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fine, sir. Please, sir.
Okay.
Please proceed.
So thank you, Subhas. I think DG sir has already said the context, so this has helped me to just jump start. So we have been managing the numbering resources uh, for telecom sectors, and all these numbering resources are allotted or managed within the framework of National Numbering Plan. So currently, the National Numbering Plan 2003 is in operation. It is under the process of review. Soon we will have the revised numbering plan, which will cater the current and future requirement of the services. Initially, the National Numbering Plan 2003 was envisaged to have 450 million cellular mobile phone and 300 million fixed line phone till the 2030. But this has been achieved so early that there is a need for more numbering resources. So then intermediate steps has been taken to manage the requirement of numbering resource, which was not envisaged in the NNP 2003. Uh, so those steps we will discuss how we are managing it, and where we stand and what are the future requirements. So in 2019, we sought recommendation from TRAI on numbering resource management, and this was in line with the new digital communication policy 2018, which mandates that adequate numbering resources should be made available, especially allocating 13-digit numbers for M2M mobile connections and developing a unified numbering plan for fixed line and mobile services. So TRA has given recommendation in 2020. DOT has taken decisions on certain recommendations, and we are in process. One of the recommendation was for the revision of National Numbering Plan, and we are in process of coming up with numbering plan. Now, this is the basic context. We will go back to the things. What are the resources which are being managed by DOT? So these are the key resources. Here we are not covering the internet IP address space, because that is not directly managed by DOT. That is a separate subject itself. So we can have separate discussion on IP resource management in webinar. But here within the framework of E164 and E212, we will discuss what are the resources which are being managed by DOT and how they are managed, what are the where do we stand, and what are the future roadmap for this. So country code, there are two level of resource management as per the ITU recommendation. Certain resources which are global in nature, they are managed by the ITUT itself, and which certain resources are within the ambit of the national boundaries, which are delegated to the member states to manage it. For example, country code are the resources which are global in nature, and where that is managed, country code are allotted by the ITUT itself. And numbering series for mobile numbers, wireline, M2M, these all are the national resources which are left with the member states to manage within the framework of the ITUT recommendations. So currently DOT is managing all these resources: mobile numbering series, wireline numbering, M2M numbering series, short codes, mobile country code and mobile network code. These are in line with even E212 recommendations of ITUT. Then signaling control point code, for example, we use the intelligent network services, free phone numbers, VPN, BCC, virtual calling card. These are the intelligent network services. So for that, you need the signaling control point codes. That those codes are also allotted by DOT. Then with the introduction of mobile number portability, we have to manage the location routing numbers. These are used in the MNP databases. So these resources are also managed by DOT. Then we have signaling point codes. So signaling point code are used in the SS7 signaling. These are the national signaling point code, and then there are international signaling point code, which are used by the ILD operators in the international gateway. So those resources, those point codes are series are allotted by the ITUT, and then they are managed by TEC to through TEC is managing on behalf of CS wing. So CS wing allocates the international signaling point code to the ILD operators based on their requirements. So this is the current management landscape for the numbering resources in DOT. Now, what is the framework which guides these numbering resources globally, and what are the mandate, what are the key requirement or recommendations? So we will discuss now. These ITUT recommendations are managed by the study group 2, which is mandated to provide the recommendations and management of the numbering resources to the member states. These recommendations are related to naming, naming, numbering, and addressing. So whatever these resources are there, they are meant for these three requirements. ITUT E164 describes the international public telecommunication numbering plan, and it specifies the structure, it specifies the possible use cases, how these numbering resources can be used, and how they are managed, and why there is a need for a national numbering plan, and member states are also required to publish the national numbering plans. And if there is any major change in the national numbering plans, this recommendation NV says that that should be communicated to the director TSV, so that this can be notified in advance to the member state. So there is no disruption globally when there is any major change are implemented in the numbering plan by the member states. Because these are the global networks, and there has to be seamless accessibility across the globe. National numbering plan administrators. So this recommendation also NV says that there has to be a national numbering plan administrator who is responsible for managing these resources, and efficient utilization and coordination with the ITUT for the compliance. The link, if you see the given here in the ITUT website, here you can find the national numbering plan of different countries. So if I will show you this link, how it looks like, and in subsequent presentation. Subhashji, if we will take question in between, or we can take it end if there is any clarification required.
Sir, we have question answer session in the last, sir. We after your completion.
Okay, so
yes,
we'll go ahead on this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
So first we take up the ITUT recommendation E212, because this is a small reference, and subsequently we will discuss in detail the E164. E212 is related to the unambiguous identification plan for the subscription and format for IMSI. Basically, E212 recommendation specifies the format for the IMSI, international mobile subscriber identity, that is particularly important for managing the complete call routing and other things in the mobile network. So the IMSI is a 15-digit number. This is divided into three parts: mobile country code, mobile network code, and MSIN, that is mobile subscriber identity subscription identification number. So if you see with the 15-digit, the MCC can be 3-digit that is allotted by the ITUT. For example, for India, ITU has allotted 405, 404, 405, and 406. These country codes have been allotted to India for use in the IMSI. Then MNC mobile network code, uh, we have 2 to 3 digit. In India, we have adopted 3 digit mobile network code. So we can address, we can have a address space for the 1,000 mobile network. Then remaining 9 digits are for the MSIN. So practically, when we allot these codes to the our mobile service operator with country code, mobile country code is fixed. Then we have 3 digits for the mobile network code. Suppose we only assign one network code to the one operator, then that mobile service provider can create the IMSI with the 9 digits, and these digits are allotted by the operator themselves. So he can create with one network code, he can create 1 billion IMSI. So we have sufficient space for the creation of IMSI, which are to be used in the mobile network. Now, if we consider that we have three mobile country code, then we have 1,000 mobile network codes we can create with 3 digits, and with uh, each this combination we can create 1 billion IMSI. So we can create 3,000 with the given allotted resources to India. We can create 3,000 billion IMSI. So we have these recommendations provide means future safe and scalable addressing space for this IMSI code, and there doesn't seems to be any constraint as of now as far as IMSI are concerned. Even we consider the requirement for the IoT and M2M devices, there is no limitation. We have sufficient numbering resources available. So this is as far as the IMSI part is concerned, which is not the direct numbering scheme and numbering code which subscriber know, but that is the crux how the which is used for mobile networks, and that is embodied in the SIM. And this is the unique identity which is used by the all means 2, 3G, 4G, 5G, all networks at the 3GPP standard. Now, this recommendation E164 also envisages that the member states need to have the national numbering plan. And what is expectation from the national numbering plan? That it should be designed to allow generous provisioning of future growth in number of subscribers and services. So it says that your numbering plan should have should not create any hindrance or constraint on the proliferation of the services in the national system. That should also consider that ultimately it should be accessible, will be accessible to subscriber in other countries by means of international dialing procedure. So whatever numbering plan is created, that should consider that this should be accessible globally based on the type of numbering services which are being used. If these services are to be accessed globally, then this has to comply with the international dialing procedures. If this is national, then it has to be decided by the member state. It should also ensure that subscriber would always be called by either by same NS national significant number or subscriber number. This is a national matter, so we will discuss further in the structure of E164. So these are the guidelines provided in the recommendation E164, which are to be considered in while preparing the national numbering plan. The recommendation E1 to 9 also specifies the format, sample format for the national numbering plan. Our current numbering plan is not in that format, but when we come up with the new numbering plan, we will adopt that format and come up with the in line with the ITUT recommendations. So there are 4 types of numbering plan which has been numbering plan structure has been specified in the ITUT recommendation. First is the E164 numbering structure for the geographical areas. So what does that mean? That currently we are using this structure this structure for the our numbering plan in India. This is 15 digit excluding international prefix. So 00 is the international prefix that is not counted as a under the 15 digits. The structure is that it has to be country code that is 1 to 3 digits. This is allotted by ITUT. Then we have the national destination code and then subscriber number. So this is the format India is using for managing the numbering resources. If your country code is fixed, for India it is a 2 digit, then we have national destination code. So wireline we have adopted a different strategy. For mobile subscriber addressing, we have adopted closed number scheme. For fixed line, we have adopted open numbering scheme. We will discuss this in subsequent slides. So this is the format structure India is currently using. Then, so when you dial the local level in the fixed line, you can directly dial the subscriber number. You are not required to dial the national destination code or international country code. If you are dialing nationally, then as you dial the STD code of that SDCA and then subscriber number. But somebody dials from the outside the country, then he has to dial the country code 91 plus SDCA code and the subscriber number. So complete those digits are to be dialed. So open numbering scheme provide this flexibility. However, there are consideration for the efficient use of available numbering resources that we will discuss. That has been dealt by the TRAI also. That is required to be reviewed. Now, there are certain countries which have used the numbering structure for the networks. So what does that mean? That for if I have 1 or 2 network, I can have a numbering scheme where that within the network, the dialing will be the only subscriber number. So if you see this subscriber number is 12 minus X, and X is the number of digit for the identification code of that network. So just like the SDCA, rather than allotting the codes for the SDCA, here the codes are allotted to the networks. Now network become the identification part of for the subscribers. So this network code is permanently within the network. You because this is the same network, you need not to dial the identification code of that network. When you are dialing outside the network, then you have to dial with the country code and the in identification code and the subscriber number. So for example, if we take the use case that suppose we allotted use this numbering structure for India, then what will happen? We will allot the codes to to Airtel, Jio, and Vodafone, and BSNL, MTNL, and their subscriber, irrespective of SDC, because then each subscriber will be identified uniquely, and these within the network, and they can dial each other without any prefix. And when they dial outside the network, then dialing structure will be different. So this is another alternative which is provided in the E164. Though it is not being used in India, but other countries, few countries are using this. That's why this has been part of the ITUT recommendation. Then there is a numbering structure for the global services also. For example, if you might have heard the international free phone service. So these are the global services for which the country code is required, in which country this service is located, and then global subscriber number. So global subscriber, this has to be complete dialing because this is the global service, and the country code, even within the same country, you have to dial the country code and the subscriber number. Sorry. So this is the requirement for the global services, and these resources are managed by ITUT. Country code and the global services number, the series is allotted. But India, we have limited number of subscribers. Generally, these services are not provided by the Indian service provider currently. Then there is a separate numbering structure for the group of countries. So group of countries, if you see the numbering scheme or the in country code for North American countries, they there the country code is common for the group of countries. If you see, if I can show you that. Yeah, so this is the link where you can find the ITUT website, where you can find the numbering plan of different member state. So I have searched if you see the with +1, that is the group of country code, and with this +1 you will find number of countries with the same country code. This is the American Samoa, Anguilla, Bahamas, Barbados. They are using the same, including Canada, USA. So this is the numbering scheme, numbering structure used by group of countries. So this here the country code is allotted by the ITUT. Group of country group identification code. So there can be different scenario. For example, Israel and Philippines, they share the same country code for the purpose of numbering scheme. So there are different group of countries which for which this numbering structure is used. North America is one, and there are number of other groups which are sharing the common country code. Then if the country code is common, then you have to have certain digits which have to identify which is the group to which this country code is allotted. So group of country code, group identification code is allotted by the ITUT. Then subscriber number, within that group individual country, what are the subscriber number range that is allotted. So here the dialing process will be country code plus group identification code plus subscriber number. So if you see the dialing process in the North American countries, you will find the same dialing process. Then there is a provision for number structure for trials. For example, you want to conduct some trials for in the public network. Then you can get this trial identification code, and you can connect in the public network. Here, if you see the country code has been fixed as a 991. So if anything which is coming with the country code 991, that means as per the ITUT recommendation, that it's a trial. It is a numbering structure for the trials in the public network. So we have two flavor here in the closed and open numbering scheme. So in India, we are using closed numbering scheme for mobile network, and we are using open numbering scheme for the fixed line network. So simple difference between closed numbering scheme, you have to dial complete digits. For example, in the mobile, we dial complete digits, even though the subscriber may be in the same LSA. But in fixed line, we can dial the local numbers with only subscriber number. But for the SDCA, we have to dial the SDCA code when we dial from one SDCA to another SDCA, and similarly. So in India, we are using both open and closed numbering scheme, and but in some countries like Denmark and Norway, they are using the completely closed numbering scheme, single dialing process. Here we have two dialing structures. Now, if we consider the numbering resource now for the mobile numbering scheme, it is we are using the geographical area based numbering scheme, the type 1 in the that we have discussed in the E164 recommendation. So here we have country code. Then we have this is the structure what we are following in India. Then national destination code, which identifies the PLMN. So if you see the 98 digits like 98 7 try something, so the 2 digits identify the PLMN access code and then MSC code. So if these codes are fixed, so subscriber number space remains only 5 digits. So if we allocate one set of code to the one MSC code to the particular licensee, he can create 1 lakh subscriber in his network. So generally we are giving 10 MSC code in a block. So we are giving 10 lakh numbering space for the TSP when they require the numbering resource in particular LSA. Now, what are the criteria we use to allocate additional numbering resource? We have graded utilization based BLR based criteria that has been notified in 2017. So if the utilization of current numbering resources which is allotted in particular LSA has crossed certain threshold based on the base number which are already available, they qualify for the allocation of additional numbering resource, so that there is no constraint in subscriber acquisition, and this is timely allotted. So almost 70, when the utilization crosses to 70%, they are eligible for allocation of additional numbering resource subject to the verification of the BLR criteria by the LSA. Currently, we are using level 6, 7, 8, and 9 for the mobile numbering series. That gives us the sufficient numbering resources as of now. So if we consider the numbering structure, we are using in the present context, we are using only 4 levels for the mobile numbering. Now 4 levels from we are getting from the 10th digits, and remaining digits for the numbering space available will be the 9 digits, and with 9 digits we can create 1 billion MS ISDN. And when we are using only 4 levels, that gives us the addressing space for numbering resources for 4 billion subscriber. This is other than M2M, because M2M we will discuss, we have allotted this different series. So for our normal subscribers, we are currently having the space addressing space of 4 billion subscribers. That that is due to we are using only 10 digits, basically 12 digits numbering scheme, but we are still ITUT allows us to use 15 digit numbering space, so we have available numbering space for the 3 more digits. Now with those 3, if we go by 13 digit numbering scheme for the as in case of M2M, with these existing 4 levels, we can have 1000 into 4 billion subscriber numbers. So since for subscriber, considering the requirement of minimum dialing digits, we are going ahead with the current 10 digit numbers. But subsequently, whenever there's a requirement of additional numbering resource in future, we can switch to the additional digits in the numbering space for the normal subscriber also. But M2M, we are using complete 15 digit numbering scheme where the country code is 91. That leaves us 15 minus 2, 13 digits, and those 13 digits are being used for the M2M case. But for the subscriber, normal subscriber, we are going ahead with the 12 digits, and if we exclude the country code, then that becomes the 10 digit numbers. For similar structure, geographical area based structure we are using for the wireline numbering resources. And here the difference is that we are using open numbering scheme, and we have SDCA codes, and based on the digits in the SDCA code, the number availables in the subscriber numbers changes. If we are using 2 digit as SDCA code, for example, for Delhi or Bombay, then we have 8 numbers subscriber space, and similarly 3 it will be 7, and 4 it will be 6 digits. Here we were facing certain constraints, so recently we have revised the criteria for allocation of additional numbering resources for the wireline numbers, that to take care of the current requirement. These are the different levels which are in use, which has been allotted for different service providers. So currently we have allotted numbering resources for wireline to the 12 access service providers, and there are certain dedicated levels. For example, level 2 is to BSNL and MTNL, 4 is for Bharti, but then there are certain shared levels across different operators due to availability of limited numbering space. Then we are managing the signaling point code. So as we have discussed initially, signaling point code are required for the CCSS 7 signaling. And for national level, we are using the 5 digit signaling point code, and they are totally managed within the purview of DOT. That is not in purview of ITUT. ITUT had delegated it to the member state because this is to be used in the national network. However, for the international signaling point code, that is allotted series are allotted by ITUT, and they are administered by TEC and CS Wing. So CS Wing is allotting the international signaling point code in consultation with the TEC to the ILD operators. Then we have machine-to-machine numbering resources, M2M. So you need IMSI numbers that we have discussed as per E212. Those there are sufficient resources available. Then DOT has allotted 5 sets of 3-digit identifiers. 559, 575, 576, 579, and 597 for the M2M communication. So this is making the 13-digit numbering space available for M2M use case. excluding the country code. So 2 digits are country code, that gives us the remaining 13 digits. So first 2 digit are country code, that is plus 91. Then we have M2M identifier 3 digits. These are the 5 sets. And with that, we are left with a 10 digit numbering space. So 9 digit gives us 1 billion, 10 digit will give us a 10 billion numbering resource. And then with 5 levels, we can create 50 billion numbering resource for our M2M communication. So initially, we are allocating 5 million block numbers to each LSA for the access service licensee. They are with the these all 3 digit identifiers, and then 10 digits. The 4 digit is the licensee identifier, and then device number identifier. So based on the utilization of these numbering resources, these are the criteria. Similar criteria is also used for the fixed line as well as the allocation of additional mobile numbering resources. So initial allocation is 5 million. When they consume based on the VLR verification 40% of the resources, they are eligible for allocation of additional numbering resource. So for if they reaches between 5 to 20 million. So for example, initially we have given 5 million, they are again allotted 5 million, then they come in the range of 5 to 20 million. Now to be qualified for the additional numbering resources, their utilization has to be 45%. And similarly, if they cross 20 million allocation, then the utilization of those resources, numbering resources, has to be 50%. So as the cumulative base of the numbering resource allotted to the licensee increases, the utilization has to increase in that ratio as per this criteria. As base is increasing, that's why utilization has to be increased, because they will be having sufficient numbering resources with them to utilize. So uniform criteria cannot be applied. That's why we have used the graded criteria for allocation of the additional numbering resource after they consume the existing resources. Then level 1. So we have discussed that level 2, 3, 4, 5 is used for the fixed line numbering. 6, 7, 8, 9 is being used for mobile numbering scheme. Level 0 is for the prefix, national and international prefix. Then we are left with the level 1. That level 1 is the reserved for the special codes, special services. So our unified license clause 7 NV says that licensee shall provide independently or through mutually agreed commercial arrangement with the TSPs all public utility services as well as the emergency services. So they are mandated to provide the emergency services as well as the public utility services. Considering this requirement, DOT is allocating short codes for that is 3 digit, 4 digit, and 5 digits to different emergency numbers or helpline for different organizations, central government departments, ministries, and NGOs. Now, because we were getting a lot of requests for the allocation of short codes, the resource management become constant, and this is also become the bottleneck to the TSP. So we need to have this allocation of short code within the framework of ITUT recommendation as well as the license conditions. So recently we have introduced a criteria that since this license mandate that these codes can be used for the emergency services and public utility services. So these two dimensions are to be involved in the while we consider any applications. So if there is a requirement for the from the central or state government based on the recommendation of the state or central government, we allocate the short codes. But if there is any requirement of resource through private organization or NGOs, that has to be recommended by the concerned ministry. So we are not entertaining requests for allocation of short codes directly. It has to come through the concerned ministry recommending that this is the public utility services and the important and required for the greater goods of general public, then only we are considering these requests. You are already aware that certain important short codes are 100 police helpline, 112 emergency helpline that is being implemented nationally. So what we are doing is that we are for the similar services, if it is a national number, then short code, then it is to be used opened in the all networks and will be terminated at single point. Now there can be scenario where this has to be terminated locally in each state. So based on that, we are, for example, 1090. This has been allotted to the same number has been allotted to all states because these are the state level services for the crime helpline. So this is the criteria. Same code is used allocated for the different states if it is a state level service, and only one code is allotted nationally if it is a national service. So we have a different category of this services. Where if it is a restricted services, the services are to be accessible in the within local area. This is as per the national numbering plan. And if it is unrestricted, then these are services are which shall be accessible from anywhere, national or international. So these services, there are certain category of short codes which can be accessible from the national or international services also. For example, 112 also, this is nationally it can be accessed. Then we have category 1 of the services. These are the mandatory services to be provided by all access service provider. For example, police, fire, 112. So when we issue the allocation of that numbering resource, we specify that this is a category 1 short code. And category 2 short code, these are the services which are not mandatory, but access service providers shall use only these codes if such services are provided. So they are classified as per national numbering plan as a category 2 services. Now we have discussed the intelligent network services also. There we are only allocating the signaling control points so that these calls can be routed in those points. If we see our licensing framework, that in addition to the E164, it specifies the enum also. And enum is nothing but the E164 number mapping in the IP domain. So the effort, this IETF has come up with one RFC to make sure that we PLMN and these numbers E164 and PSTN can be addressed from the IP networks also. So they came up with the concept of E164 number mapping. This is a protocol through which the telephone number is mapped as a IP address, therefore making it internet accessible. So they in internet space, this 164 numbering doesn't make any sense. So this cannot be addressed. So what they try to do is that they try to create a corresponding DNS entry of that particular PSTN number, E164 number, so that number can be accessed through IP network and they can be made interoperable. However, this is not taken off. So how it was done, and there is a reason why I'm making this as a pretext, though is not part of this recommendation. But this is an important point I want to make, that there are efforts, there has been efforts towards making this IP and PSTN PLMN network interoperable. Since there is no V164 is administered by the ITUT, and there is a global, each country is the participant in that administration of those resources. This has been running successfully. but it is unlike in the IP network. There is no counterpart available of the for the this numbering resources. Though IP address management is there, but that is being done in a isolated manner. So this interoperability challenge between IP and PSTN PLMN network are still existing, and they are giving they are taking certain different dimension also, and security concerns, for example. Then SIP protocol has come since S323 has not taken off, and now SIP protocols are being used to manipulate or spoof the CLIs, and they are interconnecting with the public network. So there are certain challenges, and there that context in that context we will discuss about what is the future look like. So just to for a quick introduction on the enum, uh, normally there are three category of type of enum that has been envisaged. User enum, normally known as the public enum. Here you can where the users have the option to select a country code label from e164.arpa domain. So you can, in the internet space, you can select that domain and then use this register your number in the registry of enum, and then you can start getting calls and making calls from the through the IP network to the PSTN PLM network. Then there are private enum and carrier enum to route these calls within the carrier network. They try to, this is a simple methodology they have used. If you have this public PSTN number plus 442079460148. So the how they map this to the enum numbers, the E164 number to the enum address space in the DNS in the IP domain. Simply they say that you remove the plus and then put dot between each of the digits. So at point 2 they have removed the plus and then they have put dot after the each digit except the last digit. So and then reverse the order of the digits. So here last digit were the 8, and then they have reversed the order, and then 8 become the first digit, and then same sequence. Then append the string e164.arpa. So in for making a DNS entry, you need to have a domain. So this number itself is being made as a domain after appending the e.e164.arpa. This domain name is used to resolve the that record, and against which that you can find that this is the E164 number, or to which this call is to be made. So at the when it is handed over to the public network, this numbering translation takes place, and then call is initiated into the terminated into the public network. Now, what are the emerging trends that this enum was a one effort to bring the public this IP network and public PSTN and PLMN network closer to each other, so seamlessly the subscriber can access the these numbers seamlessly. Now this has not taken off, so from there we can take a clue that E164 number has the major significance that they have the acceptability and then global joint administration, co-administration and co-management. That's why E164 numbering is management has been so successful that in providing the seamless communication and connectivity to the subscribers. Now so that establishes E164 as the core thing in the numbering space. There is no alternative currently visible, which can, though there is a complete means adoption of the IP or network and packets-based network, but still V164 is not getting any challenge. In fact, that is being adopted in the IP space majorly. So, for example, if you see the OTT application for communication, they are using your E164 number as a identifier. WhatsApp and other application, they are, and Telegram, all are adopting this E164 number in this space, but there remains the concern that they are not in the purview of the overall ITUT administration. So that these things are being discussed in the study group too, that when OTT applications which are using E164 numbers, this public numbering resources, and when they are interconnecting with the public network, there has to be certain minimum requirement to be adhered. For example, they cannot use those numbers which are not owned by those consumers. So there has to be certain verification before those numbers are accepted as a OTT number of that customer. So those things are still being deliberated in the study group 2, which is responsible for E164 numbering resources. So currently E164 is the basic reference standard which is being adopted in one form or the other by different emerging applications. But there are issues which are being dealt by ITUT to make sure that the trust which E164 numbering space command does not get compromised with the use of these numbers by other application. So we need to have certain framework where they comply with this basic guidelines or principle of E164 numbering administration, and they are not misused. So that's all from my side. If there are questions, we can take up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for very nice presentation, sir. And think you have covered all the aspects, sir, starting from global to extremely local. From extremely global to extremely local, you have covered all the aspects, sir. So thank you very much. Now the floor is open for question. Those who want to ask question, please raise your hand. So first name is Maheshwari, sir, DDG Northeast.
Hello, good afternoon. My question is, your reference, the presentation, you referred that there is a effort to have a uniform numbering scheme for the fixed and mobile. What is that?
Sir, can you repeat, please?
You said no, there is efforts is going on to have a common numbering scheme, unified numbering scheme for the mobile and fixed line.
If we see that when we are in mobile numbering scheme, we are using closed numbering scheme. So their complete subscriber numbering space is available for the use. But if we see the fixed line numbering space, there we have allotted the SDCA codes. Now with those SDCA code, even though we are not using you are not having those many subscribers. For example, if we take the level 2, which has been allotted to the BSNL. Now that full level in that particular LSA SDCA is available with the BSNL, even though there can be only 100 subscribers. So we are not able to have efficient utilization of the numbering resources if we are using the open numbering scheme. But this was referred to the TRAI. TRAI had said that it is not the right time to migrate to the closed numbering scheme. It is being looked into that because it was seen that there is no requirement of there is no crunch of fixed line numbering scheme as of now because the fixed line numbering proliferation is not there. But with the FTTH and other initiative, we will definitely now we are getting requests for additional numbering resources. So there is need to review whether we want to continue with the SDCA based numbering scheme, or we can go for a LSA based numbering scheme, because there is no change in the tariff. Earlier, we are having very micro-managed SDCA level codes for the charging purpose. Now, does that make sense in the current context? These are the things we are trying to refer to the TRAI, that whether we continue with those some 3000 STCA codes, or we come up with the some LSA based numbering codes, and we minimize and then we use the numbering source efficiently. I hope, sir, I could answer your query.
Okay, yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question is from Vijay Krishnamurthy, sir, Director Chennai, sir. Please, sir, Vijay Krishnamurthy, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear, sir?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Sir, thanks for a nice presentation, Tejpal, sir. A couple of questions, sir. For the benefit of LSA working, can we get the list of short codes on a routine basis from, because we keep on getting some orders of creation, but at the end of the day, we are not having a uniform list and which are working, number one. Number two, similarly, can we have a list of toll-free numbers also, because sometimes we have questions from LEAs, they ask these to whom it belongs to. So we don't know. Last question, sir. We have been getting calls from Isha Foundation for some short code. So can we, as you said, NGOs are also, if they are recommended, so can we encourage them to approach some concerned ministry? So just these three questions, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So one, I just recently, 2.5 months back, I joined this division, and I also found the same problem which you have highlighted. So I am working on that. So short code list soon we will be. In fact, I wanted to tell you that we are working on bringing this numbering resource management on the Saral Sanchar portal. So this is the first thing I have proposed, that we will manage all these resources right from request from the licensees to complete reporting and utilization. Everything will come into the Saral Sanchar portal. Second, these codes will be available, short codes, other codes will be available on the Saral Sanchar portal to LSA as well as the licensees. Right, so these things will soon get available on the on your in the Saral Sanchar portal itself and publicly also. I am working on that. Second part, definitely you can ask them to approach the concerned ministry. If the ministry find that that is fall in that category of your public utility or public good, then they can recommend, we can consider that code. And toll-free number, you can check with the SCP code. So SCP code allocation is available publicly, and soon we will consolidate and publish that also. So with that SCP code, you can find out who is the licensee to whom this SCP code is allotted, and then you can get those details from the concerned licensee.
Thank you, sir. So that's what, if this toll-free number also list is shared like Saras portal, it will be very useful, sir.
Actually, that will be, we don't want to go into the subscriber level as of now, because this is that doesn't fall in the domain of numbering resource management. Okay. However, there are certain, if that is brought as a subscriber under the TAFCOP or somewhere, there are framework which are being discussed where you are getting the subscriber details. So including there, that can be considered in that relevant locations, because Saras is not supposed to be the management for management of the subscriber. That is only for the licensing lifecycle management.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, there is one question in chat, so that I am reading. It is from ADG Raipur. What he is writing, that what is numbering levels in MS ISDN? Who allocates these levels, and what if is 100% utilized?
Okay, that's what we have discussed. These numbering, yes, MS ISDN is the country code plus the NDC plus the subscriber number. So in PLMN in case it is a 98 is the, for example, we are using 6789, and these labels are for the mobile, and then we have the MSC code for that particular LSA, and these are allotted by DOT headquarters, AS wing, and that is based on the utilization of the existing numbering resources by that licensee in that particular LSA, and that is being verified by concerned LSA. So VLR verification what format I have shown for the M2M, similar verification format is there for the mobile numbering scheme allocation. Whenever they approach with the verification form from the concerned LSA signed that they have utilized the existing numbering resources 70 or X% based on that criteria, and then only we consider the allocation, additional numbering resource allocation.
Okay, sir. So any other question? If anyone want to ask, please raise your hand. So one question is that, can you please, just 1 minute, sir. Someone in chat, can you please elaborate on 3-digit M2M identifier in M2M numbering scheme? Mr. Sri Abhishek Chauhan ji has asked me.
Basically, it is nothing but these labels. For example, this has been done to identify that these labels are for the M2M part. For example, future if we migrate on that rather than 10-digit mobile numbering scheme to 13-digit numbering scheme, so there will be a distinction that these labels are other than these labels. These are the normal subscriber level numbers. So these specific codes has been given reserved for the M2M space.
So these are three, just this is my question, sir. These M2M identifier have been fixed by DOT or allocated by ITU?
No, it's DOT. See, only country code is in the domain of ITUT that we already have 9.1.
Yes,
Other
sir.
things are within the control of DOT. Within the national numbering plan administrator, and DOT is numbering plan administrator.
So that we have sufficient number. So in future also if requirement come, we
Yes,
can allow.
yes. I have shown some calculations just to give that.
Yes, sir. Okay. So any other question, please raise your hand or you can write in chat, whatever the way you want. Just next 1 minute, we can wait for question. Otherwise we will conclude. What numbering scheme is used in FTTH connection? So there is one question.
Fixed line numbering scheme.
It is fixed line numbering scheme. Yes.
Yes.
What is some challenges you are facing? One or two important challenges you can share with our officers.
Sir, challenges, actually the challenges are in the management itself. Here we are not having any system to, I think by this time we should have the efficient numbering resource management system. Many other countries has implemented this system through which they are allocating these resources and they are getting utilization reports based on which they are taking actions and reclaiming these resources. So the numbering, the role of numbering plan administrator is to not only allot these resources, but to you review the utilization, then reclaim it based on the criteria. So TRA has recommended this. We are working on this immediate step. What we have taken is that we are bringing a module in the Saral Sanchar portal through which we will do the allocation so that the we can reduce the time to allocate additional resources to our licensee. So first focus is from that part, that our licensee don't feel any bottleneck in that. Then second part is that we will yearly return they have to file on the utilization of the numbering resources. So that also is a TRA recommendation, and we will bring that module also subsequently, and the system itself will tell us that this is the they are not meeting this criteria, then these resources can be reclaimed from that. Here the process is manual currently, and many of the licensee doesn't respond, and those challenges we are facing, sir. But we are trying to streamline that process.
That in that portal you can create dashboard also.
Yes, sir. We will create the dashboard also.
that it can be filled by various TSPs.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Uh,
Actually,
and
sir,
we have also heard that you are now extracting few fixed line numbering series out of 2, 3 series where non-utilized series are being allocated to the for the mobile purpose. Is it?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. For mobile, sir, we have sufficient space. In certain SDCAs, we were finding the problem in the availability of numbering resource.
Okay.
So currently we have taken care of it, but now we are referring it to TRAI that they need to review it and then recommend it what the whether we want to go for review the existing fixed line part, whether SDCA based that ports continue or we should review it, because now sir FTTH with the FTTH the numbering resource requirement is increasing fixed line part.
Yeah. But FTTH series are allocated through the fixed line series only.
So it is we are not there is no distinction. They are allotted from the fixed line series.
I guess at the moment you are transacting with the telecom service provider, but when M2M comes in big way and IoT, who will be the seeker for these number of series? What is the plan to track all those numbering resources getting allocated?
Sir, as per the current licensing framework, the numbering resources are allotted by the to the access service licensees.
Okay.
And then they are giving or means giving to their partners or M2M service, whoever is coming for that. So there probably there's no plan for direct allocation without a license. So
Okay, they have to register as a
yes,
M2M provider. So
yes,
IoT provider.
sir.
Subhas.
Yes, sir. So anyone, I think we should in this question answer session. If just anyone want to, you can raise your hand. If anyone left, please raise your hand, or you may write in chat also. Okay. So now with this, we have come to the end of the webinar. Now I will just read vote of thanks and then we can end. So first of all, I would like to thank our respected DG sir, Sri Raju Sinha sir. He has been for sparing his time for coming to this webinar. And he has been the sole motivating force right from conception. The day we talked about numbering resources, he has he has guided us to give the shape, formal shape. Now today that shape has taken place, and I think a very good webinar has happened. And second, I would like to thank Sri S.K. Bhalla sir, our DDG Transmission and NGS. He has been a guiding force. In fact, a lot of discussion took place to finalize what topic and how to choose the speakers. And finally, sir decided, okay, let us have single speaker, because topic is such that that fragmented. If we go in fragmented approach, it will be very difficult to synchronize. So sir decided, let us approach Tejpal sir and request him to give one person will give the overall presentation. And I also like to thank Sri Tejpal sir. He acceded to our request to take control of full webinar. Otherwise, normally it is 2-3 speaker, 20 minutes each. But sir said, okay, I will deliver. And we are just now, sir told that I think in just 2 months back he has joined in AS3 section. And in 2 months back, he has taken full control of entire numbering plan administration. So, sir, congratulate you for this, sir, and I also thank you for coming to webinar and delivering such a nice talk. At the last, I will thank all the participants for participating all the members of our this transmission and NGS team, like Jaipal Tomar sir is here, Sri Jaipal ji there, my team member. They have done all the good works and supported everything to manage. Sri Jaipal ji has providing all the logistic support, so how to manage. And I also thank admin wing and this training wing of NTI PRIT to facilitate this webinar. So with this, we come to end of this webinar. So with your kind permission, sir, may I log out, sir? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Yes. So now we'll just log off this meeting. Okay.